They give you $200, you bet all the $200, and then you win $1,000. And you just made $1,000. But then you have to have the understanding to take the money out and never gamble again, which no one is doing.
If you're really, really savvy, you can use a credit card for something called leverage, which means if you give me $100 and I make 150 and then I give you 30 of it, I still netted 20 with your money. That's what we did in business. And even us, I think we're stupid. I think we should do better. Now, when I say stupid, I don't mean stupider than anyone else. I mean stupider than we could be.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Today, for episode number 1927, do you have to be cold to be calculated? So I am not allowed to go to book club. I've never been invited to book club. In fact, I am actually locked out. They lock the door behind them. I can't even get into book club. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't even know how to. But Alan said there was a very deep conversation in book club about the connection of calculation or being calculated and being cold. And I thought that would be a cool episode because I think this is an awareness thing, and we've often talked about what's your relationship with money, what's your relationship with fitness, what's your relationship. This is another one of those examples of if your relationship with somebody who is calculated means that they're cold, the likelihood of you becoming more calculated, and we can kind of go into that, is probably pretty low. And there's some benefits of being calculated. So I'll kick it to you because it was your idea. Let's keep the monologue to a minimum of 60 minutes, please.
How many?
60 minutes, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll keep it under an hour.
Thank you, sir.
So, do you remember way back I was reading a book one of our mentors at the time recommended? We were down in Florida. It was when we lived in Florida, and I talked about strength versus warmth.
Ooh, yes.
What's the name of this book? It's decent. The strength versus warmth thing is world class, but the book was kind of garbage. You remember what it was called?
Let me think on it. It was a whole series. This person had a whole series of... I'll find out.
Okay. Well, so there's this concept about strength and warmth, and I was watching an interview, as all of you know now, my YouTube escapades in 2024. I was watching an interview about...
Compelling people?
Yes. Nice.
Compelling people. The hidden qualities that make us influential by... Please hold. John Neffinger and Matthew Kohut.
There's some valuable insights in there for sure. Definitely. But again, not my favorite book. The one insight in there that I think is really valuable here in the context of this. So number one, shout out to Amy. She was on book club, and we were talking about the cognitive biases. The Art of Thinking Clearly is the book we're reading in book club. And we were talking about calculating probabilities. It's called probability error is one of the biases. Basically, being more afraid of planes than cars is just mathematically silly, but most people are afraid of planes more than cars, right? Kevin's one of them. He raises his hand. I calculated it. You're 121 times more likely to die in a car than a plane.
Strong numbers. I watched Taryn got home from work one day last week, and I was in the bedroom watching something on planes. I was like, I'm studying. 1 in 12 million, according to the person that said it.
So I want to make this as clear as possible, too. The 121 times more likely to die in a car statistically, than you are in a plane, that's with the little planes, like the non-commercial, like the little brrr, like those. And that's where the majority... So I looked it up yesterday, 358 plane crashes, deaths, last year, I think. And again, don't quote me on this. I did it quick while in book club. So don't quote me on any of this, but in my very quick mathematical research, I just wanted to see how irrational it was to you get in your car every day, totally cool, not afraid at all, but yet planes. I actually told a story about Bianca almost crushing your hand.
Yes.
When the turbulence, and in your defense, that was a little bit.
Bianca is very, very strong.
She, that time on the way home from Florida that was the most turbulence I've ever experienced in a plane.
That was pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah, it was not good. That was
not a fan.
I went into rationality. I went, I think we're going to be fine. I needed that.
They test where like they can literally like bend the wings almost all the way up. Like those wings can handle an extreme amount.
Shout out to my client, Heather, pilot, was a chief pilot. She knows the things. She reached out last time I talked about planes. Okay, so my point of all that, Amy said there's something about, so we were obviously calculating probabilities, and so I'm considered very calculated, and I asked everyone, how often do you calculate probabilities? Because for me, I'm always, like, what's the statistical probability of success in this circumstance? Best case, worst case, most probable case, what are the chances, And Amy said, isn't it interesting how people associate calculated with cold? And there's this movie that's about a robot. Megan Fox plays the robot or whatever, and I don't know anything about the movie. I just was on IMDb and I saw a little something when I was looking up a movie we were going to watch. Little Women. It was pretty good. Pretty good. Again, for film lovers, I think it's powerful, especially for empowered women. I mean, it's very good. But anyways, so Megan Fox is a robot in that film, and apparently it's like freaking people out or something. Because she's so calculated and she's so cold. There's no emotion. She's a robot. Okay. Well, the point that I'm making is I think people associate cold with calculated because robots are calculated. And human beings are too. I mean, everyone's calculating everything. You just might not know that you are. So every one of us has a cost value analysis in our head of why we're wearing this hat. Why am I wearing this hat? Why did I choose blue? Okay, well, I like blue. Okay, well, why? Why am I wearing the Next Level Hope Foundation? Well, we have an event later, and we want to represent. So everything you do is calculated. It's just mostly done with your subconscious and your unconscious. And what we're trying to do in this podcast, shout out to the old Hyperconscious podcast, is bring your subconscious and unconscious up to the surface and then go, oh, wow, I'm calculating some pretty unintelligent things. So my point of all this is just because it's calculated doesn't mean it's cold. You can... And Kevin said this. He said, I think people associate calculated with being manipulative.
Yeah, I don't think people associate it with robots.
Oh, is that just me?
I think so. When I think cold and calculated, I don't think robots.
Oh. Have you seen Ex Machina?
No.
It's world class.
I've heard great things about it, but I don't really watch movies anymore. Yeah. I watch series. There's a show called Carry On. Supposed to be great. Meh. It was okay.
Yeah, not doing it.
The problem I have with movies is essentially you know what's going to happen from the first scene. The main character never dies. Ever, 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 other than Titanic. But like other than that, I'm sure you could probably count on, maybe I won't say that, because 300, the main characters die, but like...
There's a lot of movies where the main character dies, brother.
Yeah, but you kind of know they're going to die. 300. 300.
You want to argue with me about the merits of film?
I will argue with you about fucking anything.
Dude, shows are just longer films, son.
Shorter films, son.
No. Longer films.
Yeah, but it's micro.
Shorter films within longer films.
So I can watch an episode and I can be done for the night.
Yeah, no, it is more practical. I understand that. It's more practical.
I'm sorry.
It's more practical.
Sorry, I swore at you.
I just love film. So
I support it.
You can.
I support.
What do we call it? F right off with that.
Yeah. We're gonna see this. This is the problem when we say we were talking about swearing after the last episode. We're like, I don't know. Do we want to swear? Yeah. Should we edit it out?
Now there's too much uncertainty.
Now I don't know if I should swear at all. I don't think it's from robots. I think it's from the fact that, okay, so think about this. We talked about this recently. Online gambling is an epidemic in the U.S., and it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, 1,000%.
Yep.
It's too easy to put invisible money on things that aren't real. Just too easy. I saw a commercial recently where they said all new signups get $200 in bonus bets. $200? I could win $1 million with that $200 for free. It doesn't cost me anything. I'm in. Where do I sign? I didn't really, but then you start thinking about it. It's like, okay, well, why are they giving away $200? Well, they must have determined that the lifetime value of a new customer is way, 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 way more than $200. So best case scenario, They give you $200, you bet all the $200, and then you win $1,000. And you just made $1,000. But then you have to have the understanding to take the money out and never gamble again.
Yep.
Which no one is doing.
Especially not if you fall for the original 200.
100%.
That's the paradox.
And then worst case scenario.
By the way, that's not actually $200. That's
it's $0.
It's $0 to them.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But
so
okay.
Now that you're a business owner, how cool is this to never get?
But.
Yeah.
But how calculated is it that they know all of these numbers?
Yeah.
And they can make it seem like it's a good idea for you to do it, even though it is a terrible idea for you to do it.
Yes. And I was on with a client yesterday, and she said, I have 2 credit cards, and one of them, and I said, what's the interest rate? Because listen, you just got to be smart. That's it. Like, whichever one has the highest interest rate, let's pay that one first. Done. 30.1%. I said, that is fucking criminal. That is criminal. Now,
what is that? Okay. Explain that. What does 30%, do you know like the APR and how that all works? I don't understand what APR is. And
it basically, so essentially what's happening is the best way to describe it is every dollar you spend on that credit card, you're only getting to spend 70 cents of it. So let's do this. You spend $100 on that credit card, you really only get $70 of it. They're just taking $30 right off the top of every 70 you. It's the easiest way to think about it. And again, that we can do an episode on that another time if you're curious. I'm trying to get better at communicating math.
I feel like it's valuable because I think that
it's criminal. That's brutal. It's criminal.
Yeah,
now, if you're really, really savvy, you can use a credit card for something called leverage, which means if you give me $100 and I make 150 and then I give you 30 of it, I still netted 20 with your money. That's what we did in business. And even us, I think we were stupid. I think we should do better. Now, when I say stupid, I don't mean stupider than anyone else. I mean stupider than we could be. Okay. And I always realize that I lose credibility all the time. It's like, I don't think we're stupid. I just think it's stupid things.
We could have made better decisions.
Yeah, we could have. You always could have.
We could have made way better decisions.
Yeah, of course. But we made better decisions than not all, but most other business owners. I don't think we're statistically stupid or anything.
Who knows?
I think we didn't do as well as we could have, and I'm always going to think that because that's the truth. Okay, back to the point. I said this to her. I said 2 things. 1, that's criminal. I'm so sorry. And that's the one we pay off first. Number 2, here's the thing. Here's the problem. You still used the card. Like, that's on you. Because that's what's within your control. Now, are they educating people? Are they making... No. They are calculating that, and they know you're going to use it. And my mentor said the credit card companies are lining their pockets with your ignorance. Not my ignorance, but like the collective you. Now, if you don't know numbers, start learning them now because your future will just immediately get brighter. If I could show everyone the people who said I love math and how much money they made, it would be nuts. 80% of the world's wealth, I believe, my theory, is in the hands of people who grew up saying I love math. That's just my truth. Now, that said, that's not what this episode's about. This is about calculation. This episode is about being cold and calculated. What if you're warm and calculated? Okay, that gambling fucking website is cold and calculated. You're taking advantage of people. Yeah.
It's not even just one. It's
NLU is calculated, but for good. Yeah. It's not calculations that's the problem. It's what you do with it. And so I actually coach a woman named Hannah, and she's the GM of a pet store, and we are crushing it. She's like, well, I need to hit this number in order to get this bonus at this time. And win, win, win. Awesome. Wonderful person. I said, you know what's really cool about this? You have all the advantages of my brain with none of the disadvantages of being hated. It's funny, right? Because it's so true. It's like, let me just give you the cheat codes. I can make her successful easier than I can make me successful in some ways because, unfortunately, I turn people off because they are triggered by my calculation brain.
It's very interesting.
Well,
That's
that's
all.
an advantage you have too. I'll give you my brain, and then you
Give it to me.
go be Kev.
Put it inside of my head.
I'm trying.
I'd run away. Like, see you later, man.
I'm out.
I'm
Deuces,
out.
dog.
Now I have the computer. I was gonna say something. It was probably super valuable. Maybe the most valuable thing that's ever been said in this podcast. Slipped my mind.
That's really unfortunate.
As my grandmother would say, it must have been a lie. That's what Mima used to say. Anytime I'd forget something or she'd forget something, it must have been a lie. It's like, where did you get that from? How long you been saying that memes? How long you been saying that?
Shout out
I
to
think-
Mima and your mom for donating to the Next Level Hope Foundation.
Yeah, Alan says Kevin is overly charitable. That is where I get it from. I get it from my mom and my grandmother for sure.
I'm just saying, calculated charity is better than reckless charity. That's all
One
I'm
of
saying.
one of
NLU
now-
goes down, Kev. We don't get to be generous.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
One of my goals, again, this is going to be potentially highly unrelatable and maybe sound arrogant. I'll throw that trigger out there. I have an amount in my mind that I'd like to donate in my lifetime. That's how focused on donation I am. But you have to make a certain amount. Here's the thing. Got to make a certain amount of money to donate that.
It's
gotta
to
be a
make
lot-
at least 10x that.
It's got to be a lot
in
more
terms
than
of
that.
grows.
This is what I was going to say.
Yeah. NLU listener, what is happening? I just wanted to jump in here and let you know if you want to get to the next level faster, we have a free virtual monthly meetup at the first Thursday of every month. You can connect with like-minded people and become a bigger part of this amazing global community. The link to register will be in the show notes.
Strap in because it's going to be the most valuable thing you've ever heard in your entire freaking life. Cold and calculated, I think, suggests I am going... Alan was quite literally taken aback by what I said. I'm quite literally going to reverse engineer how to get an outcome regardless of your feelings or well-being. That's cold and calculated.
Yeah.
I think warm and calculated is, how do I get Alan to sign up for this thing that I know will be supremely beneficial for him, and I know there's almost no downside, and I know he'll thank me for it eventually.
That's exactly it.
And
that's
I think that's
positive intent and leadership versus manipulation.
It's influence. People hear influence and think it's a bad thing potentially. There's a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. Alan recommended to me a long time ago. I really like it because it highlights both sides.
Yeah.
It highlights both sides. There's is it a religious group, the Krishnas, something like that? They used to stay at the airport. I think they probably still do. And when you're walking by, they would give you a flower. And they'd say it's totally free. You don't need anything. You don't have to give us anything. But after you took the flower, then they would ask you for like donations or something.
Yeah.
And since they gave you something, there's a bias called the
reciprocation bias.
Reciprocation bias, which means if somebody gives something to you, you feel indebted to give them something back.
Mm-hmm.
That is cold and calculated. That's kind of cold. Like, no, it's totally free. By the way, we did just give you that flower. Kick us a 5 spot. 10,
real
5,
quick, very
10.
last thing.
Yeah.
I know we got to jump. We were in book club. Shout out to book club again. And we were talking about intentions, approach, and results. Some people care only about the result, but they don't care about the intentions and the approach.
Yep.
If you intend to do something good and you take a good approach and, it's effective, and then you get a good result, that's great. That's good. That's good for the world. That's good for you. Like, that's a win-win-win-win-win situation. But if you do that, that's bad intentions, kind of a manipulative approach. And yeah, maybe the result is good because their organization grows, but it's not good because your intentions and your approach were off. NLU, again, I use us as an example, leading by example. If I can get you to come to book club and it changes your life, that's a good thing. But I'm not going to give you a flower so you come to book club. We're not manipulating anyone. And it's very hard, you and I, it's hard to grow a business. In a world where people are manipulating, it's very hard to grow a business without using these tactics. And we've chosen to do that. Like, we're very, very transparent. We're very careful not to ever do anything like that.
It's hard. It's not hard not to do it, but it's hard to compete with people who are, for sure.
Exactly.
It's challenging. There's very, very rarely do I again, sometimes when I'm naming episodes, obviously it's a little bit hyperbolic. I try to do that less and less, though. I don't know. I'm trying not to play that game, but we tend not to use a lot of sensationalized words.
Well, if these are the 3 quick tips to become a millionaire overnight.
A trillionaire.
Did you know that? Trillionaire. Oh, trillionaire. Yeah,
Nobody.
that's right.
I don't care about $1 million. I don't care about $1 billion. It's not enough. Trillionaire. And I want it today too.
3 quick tips.
Yes.
And we're also sending flowers. Send us your P.O. box.
I was going to say that if you want to send us your
social
address, we will. And for nothing. You don't need anything. You don't need it. We're not going to ask for anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it is brutal. It is brutal out there. Be careful.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Yeah,
be careful.
The kids get preyed upon. You remember those commercials back in the day when you were a kid? They make it look amazing. You ever get the toy and it's like, oh, this is terrible.
Isn't that every fast food marketing still?
Yeah, man.
I'll never
Marketing
forget.
versus reality. We gotta do an episode on that.
I know. We were with Evan Carmichael and we were talking about marketing, and I said, "Isn't marketing just making something look better than it is?" And he's like, "No, that's not what it is." I don't know, Ev. I think it is now more than ever, brother. I think not all marketing is. I think some marketing is good, but I don't know. Again, I've never gotten a Big Mac that looks the way it does on the commercials. Mine looks like it's been run over and torn apart by a school of sheep.
Still delicious.
I'm not mad about it. Last thing I was going to say, okay, hold on. Where did it go? It was about what we were talking about.
Cold and calculated.
Yeah, it was an example of cold and calculated.
Warm and calculated.
Say phrases until Kevin knows. I don't know. I don't remember. Oh, yeah. This is why it's so important to just be aware, because there are a lot of people, companies, things out there that are cold and calculated. And it's not that they're trying to take advantage of you. I don't know if they know there's any other way to do it. It's just the way it's always been.
Some of them are trying to take advantage of you.
This is what I was going to say. I think this is why everybody hates car dealerships. Because you go into the car dealership and it's this shit show of, I can't tell you the numbers unless you sit down at the desk.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
now you're sitting down at the desk. Let me go talk to the manager. Well, this is the best the manager can do. Well, could the manager do this? I don't know. Got to go talk to them. Here we go. And then it's this whole...
the whole thing's a...
Yeah, and then you get into the back room after you've decided, like, oh, this is how much the monthly price is. And they're like, all right, cool. So this is your monthly price. Now, do you need the door ding coverage? I think you probably do. That's going to be another coverage. That's going to be another 40. Do you need the rim and tire protection? I mean, we live in New England. It's some of the worst potholes that's going to be another 70. So you go from saying my payment is $300 a month to you get in the back room.
And now you invested 3 hours, so it's the investment bias.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's a giant, just like auctions, never go to an auction. Worst idea ever. Yeah,
never been to an auction.
An auction is every bias all at once. Just the
Definitely
the ability to make an effective choice, like a smart, intelligent decision at an auction, is next to zero.
I want to go. I'm going to go try it.
So I made this reference in book club, and we'll go. I playfully said this for anyone out there who has ever seen Star Trek, particularly the newer movies with Chris Pine. Captain Kirk is a lot like you, and I'm a lot more like Spock. Spock is Vulcan. He's just very calculated.
Yeah.
He's not cold. You would say that.
Wait, Chris Pine? I'm Chris Pine?
Yeah.
I accept. That is a studly human right there.
Nice. But
and you have big wonky ears, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Spock is just he's just very calculated. But he's not cold and calculated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd rather be Chris Pine than calculated. I feel like if you're Chris Pine, you don't have to be. You just show up and smile. Everything happens. You know what I mean?
Depending on your goal.
I mean that he's a good looking dude.
Those movies I think were awesome. I think they were good. Not awesome's probably a little.
No, I'm going to ask you one question before we get out of here. Okay. Mm-hmm. Are you or are you not going to watch It's a Wonderful Life this year?
I should. I
don't know. I really think you should.
Yeah, I should. We got the
projector,
man. The home theater. I put up the shelf. It's
I don't want to hear
it. Unbelievable.
I don't want to hear about it until I get it. Till I see a picture of it.
Dream come true level.
I don't even care.
It's awesome.
I don't even care.
You do.
Because in my mind, it doesn't even exist.
It's the best.
Yeah, I'm
sure.
Best.
I have an 83-inch TV in our bedroom. Haven't turned it on in months.
I don't believe anything you say because photos or it didn't happen.
Photos or it didn't happen.
You have my direct line?
All right,
you have my direct line?
Perfect. I'll send it to your new P.O. box.
Thank you so much. It's actually an actual address. Thank you so much.
Whatever, man.
You need to watch it.
Yeah.
I think it'll give you a ton of perspective.
You don't watch any of the movies I recommend. What are we doing here, man?
All the movies that you
Every
recommend
time I talk to you about a movie, you're like, I don't really like movies.
suck. They all suck.
They don't all suck, man. You're full of it. Titanic is awesome. There's certain movies that are awesome.
This is the best Christmas movie of all time. Rated. Best Christmas movie of all time, bar none, not close. It's from 1946.
Oh.
Black and white, old school, really good acting. Jimmy Stewart, I believe his name is. Great actor. Just
selling it. Chief sales officer selling it. One last
the
thing.
lessons in it.
Fair. That is the way to sell it. To me.
All right, we do have to go, so you have like 3 seconds.
Okay, 3 seconds. I opened with a book reference to strength and warmth.
Uh-huh.
They've done studies on this. If you appear very, very calculated, people will consider you more cold. If you're more playful and funny, people will consider you more warm. Apparently, 80% of your first impression is just those two things. It's competence and warmth. So if you're very competent in real life, you have to come off extra warm if you want people to like you. That's very hard because if you want to be authentic, it's harder. But if you are not very competent, you actually have to like portray competence and act a little more stoic. And this is why people who feel like they're not very put together, they struggle sometimes with vulnerability. And that's why they puff up and pretend to be more competent than they are, because basically everyone, don't judge people. Well, everyone is unconsciously judging each other. That's just a fact of life. And that doesn't mean the judgment's good, bad, ugly, whatever. Like, that's a whole nother conversation. But ultimately, the cold and calculated thing, if you are someone who is a math thinker, who is calculated, you are going to have to learn how to dial up warmth. And I went to school with a lot of engineers. They don't know how to do that sometimes. And a lot of them came to me for help because they didn't know how to talk to girls.
Same. I do now, though. Married. Got a wife. I'm smooth with it. I'm not. I say some dumb stuff often. Pretty often do I say some dumb stuff. Not toxic, dumb, just dumb. I say dumb stuff with you, too.
For sure. Would you say you're more warm or
that was a test. You're supposed to say, Kev, some of the stuff you've said has just been so impactful. I think it could change the course of life, time.
I've got a couple that I quote of you, for sure.
Appreciate that. I say some stuff that you've said, too. Couple things.
Nice.
Nothing to write home about, but it's okay. It's a good start. All right, we're going to get out of here.
Right.
You can tell, Alan and I are recording on a Sunday.
In an hour, man.
This never happens. We don't ever record on Sunday, so it's
a different
weird.
energy, man.
Yeah,
this is all we have to do today other than, obviously, the event, but it's different, right? Because usually I'm just in the pressure cooker of our
We're going to play sports today.
We're going to play some b-ball, for sure.
We're going to play sports. I like a football. Let's play football. I like to throw the football around, too. We'll see what happens. All right. Next Level Nation, if you are not subscribed and you want to make sure you never miss an opportunity to get to the next level, make sure you are subscribed on whatever platform you are watching or listening on, And then every Saturday, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, book club. Alan has been talking about book club a lot lately. So right now they are reading The Art of Thinking Clearly. You don't have to have read the book. You don't have to participate in any way. You can just show up and be a fly on the wall. If you've been looking for a book club or you've been looking for people who really enjoy books, this is a great place to start. So we'll have the link in the show notes for that as well. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Keep after it. Next Level Nation.